Hello everyone and welcome to another video. We are here at Black Box headquarters in Belfast, and today I'm going to run you through how to safely warm up to a heavy single on squats. Whether it's a 1RM or whether it's just a heavy single, that is entirely up to you, but I'm going to show you how to do it safely and how I like to warm up when I've got a heavy single on the menu, which I do today. It's not going to be a 1 rep match because I've got a lot of fatigue in me, focus at the moment is triathlon, but I do have an RPE 8 single on the card. So I'm going to get this bar loaded. This is actually Belfast's first iteration of their power bar. I'm getting one of these sent to the home gym soon enough, so it's exciting to be putting it through its paces today. I'm going to run you through a bit of mobility work that I like to do, but the mobility side of things I'm going to leave largely up to you because you'll know where your sort of pressure points are, where you need to open up, what parts of your body you need to get moving before you can squat effectively, because we're all different in that sense. But from a physiological point of view, I'll run you through what I believe is the most effective percentage increment jumps so that you can get as much of a warm-up for your central nervous system as well as your joints, the feeling of the movement, and ultimately work up to what is going to be a challenging yet demanding single or triple or double, whatever you want to do on back squats, because this is all informed by my years as a powerlifter, but I keep all of this now as part of my training as a hybrid athlete. So in the way of getting prepped before you get under the bar, my personal preference is just to run through a simple mobility routine that runs through my specific, not areas of weakness, but my tight areas. I've been on a plane, I've been traveling, I've been sitting down for a long time, so I want to open them up so I can open up my hips and sit down into a squat position comfortably. I'm going to leave that largely up to you to focus on what elements of your mobility you need to improve on, because I don't believe in giving overly prescriptive mobility routines that aren't specific to the individual, but I think it is very important for us all, whatever we need to open up, to make sure that we mobilize in the right areas before we get under a squat. Otherwise we're going to feel tight, we're not going to move effectively, and we're not going to be able to keep our bar path as we want it throughout our warm-ups. And the purpose of a warm-up is to make it as relevant and focused towards the actual end goal, which in this case is a heavy squat, as possible. So treat the bar like it's the max rep weight, focus on speed, focus on position, and get it right from set number one, and you'll be signed up for success. So the only other bit of kit that I use for getting warmed up is a slingshot hip circle, just to open up my adductors, open up my glutes, use my glute med a little bit more, and just really focus on screwing my heels into the floor before I squat. But with that in mind, all I'm going to do now is get through my own mobility routine and then get under the bar for my first set of actual squats. So, now that you and I are suitably mobilized, depending on your preferences, you are best getting under a barbell. As we're working up to a heavy barbell squat, that's probably the best thing to do at this point. But important to mention at this stage that I am squatting low bar due to the way that it's basically most biomechanically advantageous for me for my top end strength, and I'm still a big powerlifting meathead at heart, so I can't let go of that strength, obviously. If you squat high bar, same premises apply. If you're warming up to heavy front squat, same premises apply. The percentage jumps and the way that you get there and the mindset that you take to get there is what's important here, so please focus on that rather than the way that I'm squatting. Cheers. So first things first, it's important to make sure that from the off you are mimicking your stance, your positioning, your processes, your cues, as if this is the max effort squat that you are doing for the day, because warm-up should be specific to the task at hand. And as I've said, the task at hand here is a heavy squat. So my squat grip width is pinkies on the rings, so I will grip there. I will then get under the bar as if I am warming up for a heavy squat. And then at this stage, what I like to do is I like to basically just feel my way through the motion so that proprioceptively speaking, I've got a really good feeling of what I want to achieve through every step of the kinetic chain. So I'll unrack. I've always got a two to three step walk out. Yours might be a little bit different. But once I'm switched into the floor, I'll use the first couple of reps to basically feel my way into the bottom position. Slowly but surely feel out that position, just sit there for a little while, wiggle my hips around, move in, screw in, bit of power, bit of power, bit of power, pause, drop back in, and then work to 10 reps just with the bar, just to feel out the motion and to make sure my position is fast, strong, and mimicking a heavy squat. Rack the bar. Time to get some weight on the bar, eh? Bar is loaded. So at this point, take a mental note of the cues that you normally use to get set up for a squat, get them really ingrained in your head and try to drill them through this whole process. So best place to start, in my humble opinion, is once you've warmed up on the bar, having mobilized, as we have previously covered. I'm just very keen to emphasize that because warming up is essential. But at 30% of your estimated 100% for the day, so my estimated 100% for the day is around a 200 kilo squat for an RP8 single. If you're going for 100 kilos, the same applies, use a percentage. We are going to do 6 reps, really focused, really fast, really controlled at 30% of our estimated 100% for the day. So without me rambling any further, I should probably squat, shouldn't I?
Let's take each other out. 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 Let you taste like chocolate. Let you taste like chocolate.
Okay, at this point, I like to put on a pair of wrist wraps because I'm squatting low bar, which means my wrists end up taking quite a lot of the weight. So, take my watch off, good start, Fergus. But I like to wear a belt, knee sleeves, and wrist wraps. As I've said, I'm a meathead powerlifter at heart, but you don't need any of those things to work up to sort of heavy single yourself, as long as you can do it safely. But these are things that I found have helped me over the years. Knee sleeves help keep my knees warm. Proprioceptively speaking, they help me figure out where my knees are tracking and just feel my way through the motion a little bit more. And wrist wraps I found are essential for squatting low bar. And they're just very useful to help guide a really clear bar path through your wrist as well. And the belt is just there to help bracing, help overall tension in your trunk so that you're as tight as possible when going through the motion. So next up, we have 4 reps at 50% of our estimated 100% for the day, which for me is 100 kilos. So 4 reps at 50% next up. So next up, it's important to mention that if you are squatting alone, please make sure that you have the safety arms put onto whatever squat rack you are using. Or if you're squatting high bar or front squatting and don't have access to safety bars, please make sure that you are comfortable with dumping the bar and know how to do that safely. If not, obviously have a spotter if you have access to one, but I'm not going to pretend and lie to you that I use a spotter all the time. If you're comfortable dumping the bar and you know how to use safety arms and you set them up correctly, you can be entirely safe. So just please bear that in mind. Next up, we have 2 reps at 70% of your estimated 100% for the day. And at this point, this is when I like to put on a belt, which is a bit sooner than some people might like to, but as I've said, what you want to be doing is mimicking what you're expecting for the top movement as much as possible. And as I'm going to be wearing a belt for my top set, I want to get used to what that's feeling like, how that's feeling today, how to guide that through the movement at this point. So belt goes on, wrist wraps go on, and we have 2 reps at 70%. At this point, it's probably worth mentioning that this is my first hit out with the Black Box Power Bar, which is very, very exciting because it's been long awaited in my home gym. The Belfast bar is fantastic, but it doesn't have any center knurling, which means when I've been going above 200 kilos, I've been a little bit limited in how confident I felt having that bar on my back. When it's a little bit warm, a bit sweaty, chalk can only go so far. So having some center knurling is a big win. So far, feeling really solid. It's 29 millimeters. I think it's 2,200 tensile strength. It's rated to, I can't actually remember what they said, but it's rated to a weight that I will never touch in my life, so that's good news, obviously. And the knurling is so far feeling really quite solid. It's very similar to a few power bars from other brands that I've used in the past that are all excellent. I'm not going to mention any brands, I feel like that's the wrong thing to do at this point, but let's just say it's punching well above its weight. Now, back to the matter at hand. At this point, you are best getting prepared for your first real hard effort single. And by hard effort, I mean you want to make it feel like it's a hard effort. So make it fast, make it controlled, make it exactly as you would a heavy rep. So at this point, it is 1 rep at 80% of your estimated 100% for the day. And as I've said, I'm labouring a point here, but I think you might be able to pick up on how I like to approach this. Make it feel as if it's the top weight. Go. And we are still climbing the ladder. So 1 rep at 90%. There we go, I had to think there, I couldn't remember how much I'd done. So 1 rep at 90%, same old, make it feel like your top weight. On we go. All right, at this point, it is the big estimated 100% for the day, which means you should be doing a sort of several point check. If you're wearing knee sleeves, make sure you've got them up. If you've got a belt, make sure you've got it ready to go. If you've got your wrist wraps, make sure they're ready to reach. Make sure you've got clips on, make sure the weight is the same on both sides of the bar. If your spotter is hanging around, if it's a stranger from the gym, make sure they're off the phone and paying attention. Make sure the safety arms are at the right height. If you need chalk, make sure you've got chalk on. I'm sweating like mad, it's hot in here, so I'm gonna need to get some on my back. And then beyond that, just do what you've been doing the whole way through the warm-up and see how you get on. I'm not gonna lie, my 180 kilo single felt a little bit more fatigued than I'd like it to, so this might not end up being an RPE 8, but I've said it throughout the video, so I'm committed at this point. If I end up failing this rep, it's gonna be embarrassing for all of us, isn't it? So let's see what happens. Yes, oh baby.
Let's take each other out. Let's take each other out. Let's take each other out. Let's take each other out.
Alright, so that wasn't my finest rep, I must admit. I tilted forward a little bit in the bottom. But at the end of the day, this was a video about working up to a heavy single, so it's hardly surprising that it wasn't perfect. But as I've said, that was a safe single, that felt fine. It's a good training max for me to work with. I've got a lot of fatigue from the weekend, so it's all hardly surprising. But that's why it's important to work up to these things incrementally. Get your breath back before you speak on YouTube. And make sure that you're comfortable when you get to your top set so that you're not guessing what your top weight's going to be for the day, because there's so many variables that go into that. Make sure you've got a good perception of how the warm-ups have felt, where you've been feeling fatigue, what's been feeling strong, what's been feeling weak, so that you know how far to jump. Because if you jump too far, you might risk injury, you might end up hurting your spotter by dumping the bar. A lot of things can go wrong, so make sure that you jump up incrementally and try and make your last rep a little bit more confident than mine was there, because I think my knees came in a little bit. But look back on the video and it might look fine, you never know. So good news, but that is how you safely work up to a heavy single on back squat. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please make sure to give it a like and that you've subscribed down below. I'm going to be aiming to do more informative educational content as some more time frees up, so please do look out for that. Thank you very much for watching. Look forward to hearing how you get on with your heavy singles. Goodbye.